going to try making a family recipe for molasses cookies, or soft molasses cookies. It was one of my favorites as a child. And that type of cookie is your sister's favorite cookie. And my father loved them. And I used to make them with my mother and with my grandmother. And that recipe comes from my grandmother. Could be older than that, could come from her mother, or even further back than that. We don't know, but I know at least came from my grandmother. So, your great-grandmother.
And did you learn cooking with both your mom and your grandma?
I did learn cooking with both mom and grandma, although my grandmother was much more the cook. She loved to cook, and she did a lot of baking. Made pies and donuts, and raised donuts, cookies. She used to make filled cookies with raisin filling, and she really enjoyed that. And Mom had a few select things she really enjoyed making, like sugar cookies and cream puffs and turkey croquettes. So I learned a lot from my grandmother. In fact, my grandmother is the one that got me interested in eating desserts. I never liked them before I started really cooking with her. She taught me a lot of things.
And now you're making these things with your kids.
Yes, exactly. Making them with you and your sister. And actually, I remember working with you when I used to make bread, and you loved to make bread. You'd like to shape it into fancy shapes. You would have been about 4 or 5 at the time. And then bake.
I didn't like the taste of it as well as making the shapes.
That's probably true. But it was still fun, so you certainly seem to have inherited my interest in cooking. Your sister's more interested in the decorating, and that's why my mother was. Mom used to love it. When as an adult, I would come home to visit for a while, and she'd have friends over, and I would cook the meal, and she would do all the decorating. So that was fun. And I've got a lot of recipes that came from the family, from my mom, from her sisters, from sister-in-law, and we all shared them. I mean, last year I got a lot of them together, which I put them into a file, and the file card holder was one that came from my mother, where she had stored recipes. So now you have family recipes, and we have a few recipes, family recipes from your father's side as well, that I've shared with you and we make. And some of these recipes are fun too, because they have all sorts of comments on them.
All right, do you want to take a look at a couple of them and see what we're going to make?
Sure.
These are the recipes from various family members. This one is for a burnt sugar cake, handwritten by my grandmother. And at the bottom of this page, she adds up the cost. 1 cup of butter on sale, 30 cents. 17 cents for cream at 33 cents, heavy cream. 10 eggs at 39 cents, so 10 cents for eggs. 8 cents for flour, 33 cents for sugar, 6 cents for the rest, $1.04 plus electricity. So we have a really interesting record of family through this. My grandmother's personality comes through on this one. Under time, she's written question mark and peak. And then she talks in the instructions, she says, wash butter, ridiculous for working girls. Things like this. So we're going to pick up the recipe for, I don't know if you can see that, molasses cookies, and make those together.
I have trouble with that. I always make big drops. My drops are probably as big as anybody else's. My teaspoon is as big as most people's tablespoon, maybe. Let's be a little bit bigger.
Now there's no directions on this recipe for how much flour or...
No. It says flour to make a soft dough. Or enough flour, stir in enough flour to make a soft dough. Then we have to judge.
That's half the fun of those old recipes, is figuring out what on earth they meant.
Yes, well, I know the standard butter the size of an egg. Oh, what size egg?
Farm egg? Alright, let's bake some cookies.
Yum, yum. Oh, I should have put it on the top. Just.
And the other one?
Okay. Oh, I forgot we had the other one ready. Yes. There we go.
And there they go.
Don't they look good?
They do. Dig in.
Okay. Trial time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. Good.
Good cookies.
Mm-hmm.